In this week's episode of the MovementRVA video series, we're going to be talking about ring dips and how you can maintain great positions and progress up to the best ring dip you've ever done. The first step in having a great ring dip is to make sure we can hold the top position effectively. We're looking for a few things. First, we want to make sure that the rings are actually going to be turning out a little bit. It's very easy to let those shoulders fall in and forward, especially when those rings are turning in. We want to set up so that the straps are wide enough so that the straps aren't going to be riding on our forearm. And finally, we're going to be looking at having a great hollow position. So that's going to be toes together, pointed, quads turned on, and abs engaged, so that we have a good skill transfer when we're trying to work up to things like our strict muscle ups. So to demonstrate that, we'll first get up to the top, make sure we're stable, open up the chest, turn out the hands. We're going to turn the quads on, point the toes, and see if we can just hold that position. We can think about having those rings at about 11 o'clock in a 1 o'clock position, and again, making sure that we're not falling forward through that chest and letting the shoulders fall forward, instead of maintaining a good open position and our tight hollow hold. This video is assuming that you can already do dips on a bar and that the biggest challenges are going to be stability and great position. If you have a hard time just doing a basic static hold at the top of a ring dip, one of the things we can do is actually drop down to a push-up plank position on rings. So with this, you'll set the rings slightly wider than your shoulders. You'll have the rings just off the ground. You can make it a little bit easier by pulling the rings up higher. There. We'll hop into a good plank position, so we'll hollow out, feet together, toes pointed, and then I want you to actually rotate out, stabilize, and we can just hold that position. If that's feeling pretty good and you're very stable there, we can get back into that good position, externally rotated, drop down, and do nice slow push-ups is a way to build your pressing strength while maintaining that external rotation at the shoulder. After you can hold a great static position at the top of the rings, we're going to start working on negatives. So what you'll do is you'll hop up into the top of your ring dip. You'll get into a great position up there. So again, turning the rings out, hollowing out. Then we're going to drop down as slowly as we can. Make sure for each one that we're going to be dropping the hips down rather than falling forward. So you'll see my hips travel down rather than dropping forward at the chest like I just did. Bands are one of the first ways people go to scale that ring dip, but they do have some big limitations. But first we're going to show you how to use them. First, on one ring, pull the band through itself, get it tight, and then on the other ring, drape it over. We'll go up, set up in the rings. Definitely if you're using bands, make sure you're using the lightest one that you can. Still turn those rings out, keep that chest up, tighten up your abs. Big thing here is to make sure that we're dropping the hips when we're dropping down rather than just supporting your legs on the band and pitching forward for each one. The bands are also limiting you not only because they can put you in a bad position and cause you to fall forward, but also they do a whole lot to stabilize the rings. One of the hardest things when you're starting ring dips is getting that good stability, but the rings pull that band in tight to your body and also tend to pull the rings out in front, again pitching those shoulders forward, internally rotating, which isn't going to be the best position for your shoulder. Another good option, very similar but without the bands, is to hop onto a box. So we'll get up in that same position, put your feet on a box, again chest up, hands out. You're going to drop down and you can use just that little bit of weight supported on your feet to help you out. If you need maybe a little bit less scaling, we could pull that box in front of you or just use some low rings. Set up, get in your good position, and some of that weight is going to be on the floor, helping you adjust. What's good about the two box scales is that you still have to use a lot of stability to maintain the good position for your rings rather than having those bands sort of locking you in the whole time. Another option I like a little bit better than hanging the band between two rings is to actually secure it from a pull-up bar at which the rings are also mounted to. So you're going to first pull the band under your foot, hop up into the rings in your normal position, make sure the band's not going anywhere, and drop down into a nice ring dip. With this setup, the bands are not helping you stabilize the ring, but you are getting a little support helping you get up out of that ring dip. Thanks for watching this week's episode of the MovementRVA video series where we covered how to build a better ring dip. Make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube to get movement videos every Thursday and see our podcast on Fridays.